Hi, my name's Martin. I'm a forager, and today I'm going to take you on a little wander to see some of my favourite plant friends that grow in Bristol. Yeah, we'll start with oxeye daisy. Why not? It's a plant that grows in quite a lot of open habitats, open grassland, pasture, sometimes in gardens, and that's the kind of environment we're in here now in Bristol. First of all, how to identify it. It's a plant that has these lovely kind of red tinged round lobed leaves all radiating from a central stem, and in the middle, perhaps the most beautiful thing, is this little flower bud poised ready to open pretty soon, and it's got these quite distinctive lines on it which to me almost look like some kind of insect. I don't know why I think that. When these are at this stage, these flower buds are great pickled, and you can munch them raw. They're wonderful in salads. Same with the leaves. This plant is one that is pretty safe to pick. I would say that the most likely plant that I would confuse that with would be ragwort, which has even more sort of raggedy, to use a made-up word, raggedy leaves, so more deeply lobed and very irregular leaves. It tends to get, if you look at a colony of plants, it tends to get bigger at this sort of stage than this plant, and it has a, to me, quite repugnant smell when I crush a leaf and smell it. Ragwort, the poisonous plant. So I'm going to stop here in this lovely little patch of nettles. Still quite small. They'll get a lot bigger. I'm sure most of you are familiar with nettles, and they're one of those food sources that have been and continue to be used a lot because they're so nutritious. They are, I mean, just to name a few things, they're anti-inflammatory, they're a wonderful source of plant protein and iron, very mineral rich. And they're plants that I've used personally for, and I think with a lot of success, for my hay fever. So it's to do with the anti-inflammatory effects. I think they inhibit histamines. For me, if I'm picking, like today, I'm thinking we're going to make a lovely herb tea. Just thinking of picking a few of the top leaves like this. So I kind of enjoy getting stung a few times. It doesn't bother me really. But if I were going to harvest for, say, a nettle soup, I would use my trusty scissors and possibly even some gloves, just to protect me from getting multiple stings. Okay, so this plant here, which I've just picked from down below, these beautiful purple flowers, is ground ivy. You'll find this with certain plants, you're just drawn to them, and this is one that just makes me smile whenever I encounter it, and it's one that I use probably almost as much as thyme in cooking during the spring and summer months, and I'll dry it and use it for winter too. Wonderful in quiches, definitely use it in soups, and I love probably the most using it in tomato sauces for pasta and rice dishes. To ID it, there are some features that are really distinctive about this family, and it's quite a safe family to be picking in. So we've got really pretty flowers. They come in all different colours. This species, purple, and you've got this, my association is like a cloud, like a sort of child's drawing of a cloud, sort of round, pleasingly uniform, round, lobed green leaves, and it's got quite a pungent smell when you smell it. Yeah, it's very distinctive. I mean, I could say it smells a bit like sage or mint, but really it's ground ivy. It's got its own smell. So we are in Grevelsmythe Park, and this is a place I've been coming for a few years to pick magnolia blossoms. And people often ask, you know, how much should I pick? What's the sort of correct code of conduct? And really people make up their own rules, but I like to look back and see that there's not much or maybe no trace of me. So I pick sparingly. I'm going to pick this one. This year I've started just popping whole, I quite like to vary it, whole flower buds in jars, packing maybe 10 or so in a jar. And all I've taken to doing this year is using muscatel vinegar to pickle them. So this is the reproductive part of the plant in the centre, and these are really nice pickled again, and then like a delicacy that you could have in salads or the same kind of uses, but with crunch that's just unbelievable. So we are now in Brandon Hill Park in Bristol, and this is common sorrel. It's still very young, although the plant's been producing leaves for maybe a month or so, quite a while. But it's one of many plants that has probably an April growth spurt, so it's going to get much, much bigger. It's got oval shaped, quite glossy kind of leaf with one pronounced vein in the middle, and then sort of nondescript veins, but you can see them, but they're not that pronounced. Sorrel here growing in open grassland in sort of full sun pretty much, and that's normal. Dandelion, which is lovely, lovely, lovely flowers at the moment. Quite sweet tasting, beautiful flowers. Tons and tons of uses in food. Really lovely spring tonic, cleansing the body. Really good for the liver, and a host of other things. You could put it in a salad with a sweet dressing to start with, or make a tea from the flowers. Okay, so this is Jack by the Hedge. Like the name Jack by the Hedge suggests, tends to grow along kind of hedgerows. It's very true. Also in gardens and parks. Here we're in a semi-shaded spot on a hill in Brandon Hill Park. When it starts its life, you're going to see very round shaped, books will often say heart or cordate shaped leaves. I guess more like this one here, and very low to the ground. So this confused me for a long time, for years. We've got these flower buds, lighter coloured, little white flecks. They're going to pop out and they'll have 4 petals, be white. So everything in that family has these cross shape or windmill shape 4 petals. It's a member of the Brassicaceae, member of the cabbage mustard family. And its other name, Jack by the Hedge, is also called garlic mustard. It's got a kind of garlicky rather than mustardy taste. On these stalks here would have been lots of little seeds in elongated long pods. You get this with nettles and with many other species, and it can be a good indicator of where you're going to see the beginnings of spring growth. So look for these dead remains. So here we have everyone's favourite spring plant, maybe. Wild garlic. It likes semi-shaded or shady spots. No really rules beyond that, often by rivers, sloping ground, could be in your garden. Most parks in Bristol seem to have it in there somewhere. Does smell very strongly of garlic. That differentiates it from, as we're on that, poisonous, but superficially similar colour, grow in the same habitats, shady spots, same time of year. This is Lords and Ladies, and it's got veins radiating out from the one central vein in all directions, and these backwards facing lobes. It's got a kind of bit around the edge, which is a very key ID feature that sorrel, that we've already talked about, does not have, and nor does this. This has got one central vein that's very pronounced, and then these, perhaps, I wouldn't say difficult to see, but you kind of have to look carefully to see these little veins running longitudinally. Got a whopping great patch of 3-cornered garlic here, and it does tend to spread out a lot like Ramson's, the other more famous wild garlic. Find it in shady spots more often than not. So this is classic, kind of under a tree in a park. This is the biggest spot in Bristol that I know for it, but it grows along the cycle path in Bristol too. These flowers are absolutely delicious if you haven't tried them. They're kind of sweet, garlicky, not too strong. You can just eat them on their own. They're almost like a little snack. Peeling back the petals, we can see seed head beginning to form there. These get quite a bit bigger, maybe that size. Yeah, in a month or so, they'll just be all that's left on these very tired, withered stems that are falling over. And I'll come and harvest a whole load of those and pickle them. They're really, really juicy and lovely, fresh. But pickled, oh my goodness, they're great. I'm going to just make a little dandelion and nettle tea. Very, very simple. So put a few flowers in. And this is food that I'll eat lunchtime, like often at home, this kind of thing. I love it. This one is, you can see, vermouth white wine vinegar, a little bit of water. Just a few of those on there. So these are the pickled wild garlic seeds that come out. Very simple snack, really. There, we're done.